Right. Hello, everybody. This is the Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps watch party for the year 2004. It's going to be another fun time. If you haven't been watching any of these, please tune in on our Facebook. Every single one has been filled with memories and just it's been a blast. So as we're going through this, we're going to introduce our panel. There's going to be a bunch of questions. We'll end up watching the show and then having some questions afterwards. If this is your first time joining us, all of these are to not only reminisce about our 20-year history here in Southern California, but also to promote the Corps that's still going right now. We're constantly looking for donations to help us stay afloat during this current time. If you don't know, the COVID crisis caused DCI to shut down the season, which affects nonprofits like us. The only thing that all money that comes in goes right back into the member experience. So if you in any way, shape, or form can help us out, go to www.impulseyoutharts.org. And under the financial page, there's a donation button. Anything would be appreciated. Impulse has also started a brand new institute focusing on individualized online education. The best way we've described this is like community college done in the Impulse way, which means every single month you can choose what you want to learn from who you want to learn, and you don't have to know it previously. So if you've never taken a brass lesson and you've always wanted to take a brass lesson, you could do that. If you want to take percussion lessons, you want to take dance, you want to do some design, you want to learn how to conduct, you can do that month to month, and you're not locked into a particular thing. So if that interests you, or you know someone that might be interested in that, that information is also at www.impulseyoutharts.org. All of that aside, for the people on the panel tonight, for the people that were on the panels for the past 5 showings, we have a after hours party tomorrow on Zoom to keep that social distancing. The tickets are on our Facebook page through Eventbrite. They are free. Once again, we are just asking that everyone makes at least like a $5 donation so that we can, once again, keep money going in. This after hours event is not going to be streamed live, so that way we can talk about all of those Impulse stories that we know amongst ourselves, but should not share for common knowledge. If that interests you and you marched 99 to 2003 or 4 or 5, make sure to go to that Eventbrite and join in. It's been a lot of fun for all of these calls and getting connected with everyone again. And those stories are the ones that really bring this whole thing together. So enough from me. We're going to start introducing our panel. I'm going to go around. Oh, sorry. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, things you want to throw out there, make sure to drop it on our Facebook Live panel on the chat. I'm watching it the entire time. I'll address them as they come up. But yeah, you can just drop them right in there. Now, like I was saying, we're going to go around. We're going to have each person introduce themselves, say what they marched when they were in 2004, and what they're doing today. So going down the order, we're going to start with Ronald.
Hi, my name is Ron Scipio. I marched 2004 and 2005 at Impulse baritone section. Currently, I am the instrumental music director, or one of the instrumental music directors at Long Beach Polytechnic High School in Long Beach, California, where I teach mostly orchestra. And I have a band, and now no piano class, but I used to have a piano class there, so that's what I get to do now.
Fantastic. Next is Kyle.
Hey guys, I'm Kyle Stricker. I marched trumpet and soprano in G. I did 01, 02, skipped 03, unfortunately, and then did 04 and 05. I now live on the East Coast and play principal trumpet with the Cape Symphony, and I am the director of community outreach and education for the organization, and I put together all the educational concerts that we do. Yeah, and I just so good to see everybody.
All right, next up, the longest running drum major we had at Impulse, Luke Armstrong.
You should stop running.
Luke, you there?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was right there. Yes, I'm. I was a drum major on this last year. I worked Impulse 03, and I was drum major from 99 to 2002. I managed 3 jobs, and I am currently the IT guy for about 130 students for virtual lessons with 24 different instructors, so it's been keeping me up day and night. It's a lot of fun, right now.
Fantastic. Next will be Amber.
Hi. I marched 04 and 05. I was a color guard member, but also mostly dancing. Currently, I run a theater, arts, and dance education program for the City of Commerce. That's it.
Next up, Ray.
How's it going, everybody? Ray. I played soprano in both G and B flat from 2002 to 2004. After tour in 2004, I enlisted in the Marine Corps. I left in September for boot camp, and I've been in ever since. Ended up in the Marine Band. Did that for quite a while. I've since transferred over to do a few other things in the Marine Corps. Did a combat deployment to Afghanistan in 2012, and now I'm a gunnery sergeant. And I'm a commander of a Marine detachment in the Middle East on special duty assignment. Having a good time. I'm married with 2 kids, just living my life.
All right, next up will be Sean.
Hi, I'm Sean Gordon. I was a member of Impulse in 2003 and 2004. I was in the front ensemble. Currently, I'm an arranger and instructor for front ensembles for high schools in Southern California. My biggest schools right now are El Dorado High School and Damien High School. And that's what I'm up to.
Next up, Raul.
I am Raul. I marched from 1999 to 2002, took a break in 2003, and came back in 2004 as dinner food staff. I was still only 20, so they found a place for me anyway. And so I was the artist in this show. I was a character. And that's me. Hi.
Next up will be Mark Younger.
Hey, Mark Younger. I marched 2004, worked out with you guys. I'd marched prior to that with another corps. Now I'm back living in Louisiana. My wife and 3 kids. We run a small business here selling plants to flower shops now. So.
Next up, Dan Zeilinger.
Hi, guys. Good to see everybody. Dan Zeilinger, one of the founding members of the Corps, worked as a ranger and whatever else I had to do. This was this particular year is my last year as the ranger. And so a lot of fun memories. Talking about the difference between going from G to B flat, try to be the ranger and make that shift. It was interesting. Anyway, hi, guys.
All right, next is Hillary.
Hi, I'm Hillary. I marched in 04 and 05. I played baritone. Currently, I'm working at Disneyland. I work in attractions in Star Wars, Galaxy's Edge, and also the YMCA. I've been teaching swim lessons and lifeguarding for the past 7 years. And I'm just excited to see everyone. Like, I love Impulse. It's some of my favorite memories in my life. So it's really cool to see you guys.
And next will be Raphael.
Hi, I'm Raphael. I marched 2001, 2005, euphonium in 01, and contra from 02 to 05. And currently, I am the instrumental music teacher at Duarte Unified School District.
Next will be our first host, Chris Mathis.
Hi, I'm Chris Mathis. I marched Impulse from 99 to 02. Came back and got a big old hug from Aaron and started volunteering again. Last season, I became the audio engineer for the Corps. I'm now apparently being pushed to be on the board. I own Calm Innovations AV, an audiovisual company. That's how Impulse got its AV gear recently. Currently working on the locker room for the Anaheim Ducks. Keeping busy as I can through the season. This season, I actually was marching with the Renegades, so I got to see the show a couple times. But it was a makeup year for me for not getting to age out. So I'm looking forward to see how this one went for the Corps. And of course, this leads us to Aaron.
Last but not least, the man with a dumb tattoo. My name is Aaron Zallinger. I am the instrumental director for Orange Lutheran High School, doing band, orchestra, jazz band, and whatever else they tell me to do. I am also the current core director for Impulse Drum and Bugle. I'm the director of the Impulse Institute. I do whatever's needed that the kids have a good time. Once again, if you're joining us, this is the Impulse Youth Arts or Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps watch party for the year 2004. The show's title was Cartoon. If you have any comments, questions, or anything like that, you can drop it in the chat. I'm watching them as we're going along. And this actually leads us into our first question. So, first question is going to be for Luke, Ray, and Sean. What was it like to get the new uniforms that year? Previous to this point, we had handmade uniforms that were being produced. And this is the first year that we had like an official company make these uniforms. What was it like to put those on?
I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, the duct tape uniforms are cool too, but it was kind of cool because we had our signature rolled sleeves that we kept. I think they went to like a 3/4 length sleeve, made it easier to roll. And then, of course, we kept the baseball cap, which I hope we always keep. But yeah, it was kind of a boost of confidence for everybody to get something new.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those really just like it unified the group. It changed. It kind of just changed the whole attitude on the field, and the audience perception was like way different too. So
It was a huge upgrade. Having marched 03 and then 04, like it was a very reminiscent of my experience too in the front ensemble. I remember camps in 03 being there by myself with one or two other people in the front ensemble, and then 04 came around and I think we had a full front ensemble almost the entire time, and the uniforms were very representative of that. It definitely felt like we've stepped up. It was pretty cool.
We actually made quite a big of a change in the uniform industry. If you don't know it, we were all over the De Milan catalog that year, and that was one of the first machine washable uniforms that they had put out, and so kudos to us.
Yeah, from a logistical standpoint, I can't share with all of you how crazy it was to try and get 120 uniforms dry cleaned on tour. Going to machine washable was like just the best thing ever.
Aaron, do we still have the old uniforms?
Oh yes. Me, Chris, Kyle Pontiero, and Byron Baba were just at the trucks today, and we have an old storage trailer that we got into and went through, and we have 3 boxes of the original uniforms that we're gonna figure out how to maybe get to some of our alumni. But
how much?
Yeah, I also have all of the second run uniforms, so the ones that debuted this year. I have a whole run of those jackets and pants as well.
So not only did you guys get new uniforms this year, but for the first time, Impulse changed from G to B flat, for my opinion, boo. But it's the first time that you guys had a full-blown matching set, not whatever someone happened to make out of leftover parts in a cancel factory. And some people still, in 03, you still had some people marching with 2 valves, right? The whole
Yoshi played his entire show and the solo on a 2-valve baritone.
So here we are.
He still owns it, by the way.
So here we are. We've now moved on, new uniforms and a new matched set of horn line. So Raph and Kyle and Dan, what was that change like?
I'll let you start first, Kyle.
Yeah, it was actually pretty fantastic. My first experience playing on a brass instrument was a G bugle, and I was playing on one of the Franken Sops. And honestly, I kind of loved it. I loved playing on G bugles and all that. And I wouldn't have known the difference because I'd never played on any brass instrument really. But definitely moving to the Mark IIs. I think it was Yamaha Mark IIs or something like that. Maybe it was a Mark I. I don't remember, but they were pretty dang good horns. The Mark IIs ended up being the model for like professional trumpet line called Zeno now that I actually play on. Yeah, it was a major upgrade, and it was nice to play on a B flat trumpet. I hate to say it, but it was actually really nice because that's what I play on now. So yeah, aside from I think the initial, and Mark, don't worry, man, I'm not going to tell the full story about what happened with my horn, but at one point, I think we were bringing our own B flat trumpets to rehearsal, and that did not end up to be such a great thing. And thank God we ended up getting those Yamahas at some point, because I don't think my horn could have taken any more.
It was amazing. I remember when we first got them, we're all like little kids, and like, you know, at Christmas, you know, brand new shiny instruments. So we got them, and like for me playing contras, like I picked that up and like, this is lighter. That was like the first thing I said. I'm like, this is light. But I don't know, it was weird. It was nice because I never took the contras home with me, especially before '04, because I didn't drive. So even in '04, '05, but so I had my school tuba, so it's like I had to transpose everything, and now I didn't have to transpose any of the music. I could just practice my regular concert tuba, all my music.
I hate to burst your bubbles, but they weren't all new instruments. A lot of our sopranos were actually had actually come from cavies because they had upgraded to a new set of horn. And I ended up with such a good relationship with Yamaha. We got those contra cases for free. I found out that one of my band dads at Canyon High School, where I was teaching at the time, was actually the guy in charge of the percussion at Yamaha, and he's now in charge of all the David Jewell's his name, of the instrumental section for Yamaha. So I ended, without knowing it, I had connections there, and it actually helped us quite a bit.
I'm not sure if it's been talked about much, but I think I watched the '01 one, but nobody talked about the 2-valve trumpets. But we all used to joke that guys like Jaime and Evan and all of them, the screamers, didn't need more than 2 valves. In fact, they didn't need any valves at all, because the notes that they were playing were so high that essentially they hit the harmonic series in such a way you could play everything open. And I love that. And as a third trumpet player, I needed a third valve, so I actually had a better trumpet to play on as someone who knew nothing about trumpet at the time. So it was kind of interesting for me. It's funny to see, like, oh, the screamers are playing on 3-valve trumpets. What do they need those for?
Just as a proof of my
you
age.
Intentionally think that they used all 3 valves or 2 valves? I mean, they were just guessing most of the time, right?
Just use your ear, you know. You just pinch and pray.
As a proof of my age, when I marched, I played piston rotor.
Hey, don't be making fun of piston rotor. That was what I played my rookie year.
I remember.
Nintendo horns, right?
97 piston rotor.
Is that the Nintendo horns you play with your thumbs?
No, not quite.
Yeah, I had to play like this.
One was a finger, the other was a thumb.
Yeah,
but it was a big upgrade back then, because they were G F horns, and I started on a GD bugle, which is really weird. But anyway.
All right, next question's going to Amber. What drew you to Impulse, and like, how did you feel becoming a part of a guard? Not only changed instructors, but grew so rapidly during that season.
I had no idea what drum corps was. I didn't even know what it was on my first day. I didn't even know what a field show was. I was marching for sure high school with Mario, and he just said, come join, it's gonna be fun. And I believed him, and he was right, because I fell in love with it, and I just loved both summers that I marched. But yeah, I was tricked into it, and for good reason, because it was great. It was a good experience. But at first, I just felt so lost. I didn't know what anything was, and they were just going straight into blocking, and I'm like, what's happening? What the heck? But I mean, it worked out, and it was fun, so it was good. What was the other question in regards to the growing guard?
Well, just how you came, a lot of the new guard members joined some guard members that had been around for several years, and what that was like having you guys gel and then ultimately grow, especially through this year into the next year. So what was that like?
It was, at first, it was kind of like there was a huge separation, and we were even, because the group of us from Sure came, so we were called the Sure Girls because we didn't like understand the concept of drum corps, and at the time we were very girly, and you know, I didn't want to shower with everyone. Like, it was weird for me. Like, I didn't know what that was. So like us Sure girls wake up early. Like, I would wake up all my little friends before everyone woke up so we could get to the showers so that nobody could see us. Like, stuff like that. Like I would straighten my hair and like make sure I woke up early so I could blow dry it. Like, why did I do that? I wasn't understanding the concept. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get it. So throughout the summer, you know, little by little, we started to get to know each other, and we ended up combining and becoming one group. And most of us came back the following year. So the second, yeah.
Well, so let's ask the other people who were new this year. So Hillary and Mark and Ron, what brought you guys? What drew you to Impulse? You want to start, Hillary?
So for me, I knew this guy named Corey who he went to high school with us, and I had heard about drum corps when I was in high school and band. And at first, I thought it just sounded terrible, and I was like, I would never want to do that. Why would you do that? But then Corey, like, he graduated, and he kept coming back to help tech the band, and he like seemed like he loved it so much. And I was like, maybe I could do that, like, because that my senior year I started playing baritone because I had played flute before that. And then since I played baritone, I was like, oh, now that I play a brass instrument, I can go do drum corps. Like, I should check it out. And so I went to an Impulse rehearsal, and I was like super nervous. I didn't think I would get in, and I did get in, and it was fun. And I wanted to be able to continue marching even though I had just graduated high school, because I loved performing and I loved doing field shows and playing. So it was a really good opportunity to continue doing what I was enjoying doing.
Nice. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, well, so like I said, I'd marched prior to that. I started in '99, and my first year in '99, somebody showed us a video in the corps hall of Velvet Nights, and I said, "That's the corps I want to march." And they said, "Well, too bad, they folded a long time ago." 2000, somebody tells me about Impulse and starts, talking about Impulse. And I'm like, okay, in 2001, 2002, 2003, I got to see it. And honestly, my age out year, I had planned on not marching. I'd kind of failed to plan to march. And I was just kind of going through life, working and doing all that stuff. And it came down to May, and I was like, this is my last year. I got to do it. I'd marched 5 years already. And so I was like, I got to go. And so I emailed my old corps, which ended up folding that year. And they said, well, we got a spot on for guard for you, which I'd marched guard the year before. I don't know that everybody knew that, but I'd marched guard in '03. And I said, well, do you have a symbol position? Because I was like, I had marched guard. I loved it. It just wasn't for me. And the direction of that chord wasn't working out with me. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But I also emailed scouts, and I emailed you guys, and you guys got back with me, and I was like, hey, let's do it. And I packed up the truck and headed to California.
That's awesome. And what about yourself, Ronald?
And so pretty much same thing as Hillary. We actually went to high school together. So that was always interesting because I started off playing trombone. That's my main instrument. And so when I was a sophomore in high school, Hillary was a senior. So it was actually really cool going through a season with her. And we showed up to a camp, and I saw her there. I was like, oh, that's different, because I wasn't expecting to see her there. Because I don't know if you know this, she's talking now, but she was very quiet in high school as well as in the corps. She never really talked. So she talks now, but in high school, yeah, we really didn't communicate like that, even though we were in the same section her senior year. So it was all good though. But yeah, Corey who marched 02, 03 at Impulse. he had kind of came back and kind of inspired a lot of people to march drum corps. And it was a local group, actually right around the corner from where we rehearse in Cerritos. So it just inspired us to go. And I came from a big sports family, even though I didn't really play sports in high school. I went straight to marching band. So it was more of the activity and being out in the field and doing something physical that really drew me. And plus, I know a lot of people like this or not like this, but it was nice because I don't have any injuries. I mean, I know people get drum corps injuries, but my dad has like torn ligaments and stuff like that in his body because he's a basketball player. And it's like, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that because I was a musician and I didn't play sports, so I'm all good now. But he's all beat up right now. But hey, it is what it is. That's what he picked. So
sorry, Chris.
It was my own fault. I wanted to march the big, heavy, stupid thing for all those years, and I did it for too long. And we did a style back beforehand that was like plant and pivot in 96, 97. So yeah, I destroyed my knee. So and it didn't hurt that I'm a big guy to begin with.
Could have been worse. It could have been Converse. All right, next question is there's been several people that have been calling you this on the chat, but for Crazy Kyle with a K. What drew you back to Impulse? You had shared that you took 2003 off. So what brought you back to this insanity, man?
That's a head scratcher. I mean, honestly, there was no question in my mind. When I left in 2003, it hurt. It was really hard. I left knowing that I was coming back. Like that was like, I mean, I might have even said it to a bunch of people. It's like, I'm just taking a year off. I'm coming back. I knew I was coming back. I needed to take a year off because I felt like I got into music school and I was way behind. I really knew absolutely nothing. And I was trying to desperately catch up on a lot of things. I took piano lessons and a lot of other crazy trumpet lessons, etc. that year so that I could just get a little bit better and then go to Long Beach and be a little bit more set up to go, just because it scared me. But after that, my teacher was like, you probably shouldn't do the drum corps thing. And I just totally ignored him completely and went right back to it. And I mean, it made so much sense for me because I was living in Santa Ana. I was living with my grandma and commuting to Long Beach State. And it just made a lot of sense. Like Cerritos was just around the corner. And I mean, honestly, like, Impulse taught me how to play a brass instrument, and I still am so thankful to this day of what I learned from everybody who's in this in this chat, and a lot of the folks from the 01 years and 02 years, and what I learned from them as a brass player, that I kind of felt like I owed it to Impulse to come back and be there and do my thing. Plus, somebody had to keep Henry in check.
Good luck with that.
Wait, you kept him in check? I don't know about that.
Well, he's not here, so
at
you
least
can.
in 04, I kept him in check, but in 05, I guess I just kind of let him do his
Or at
thing.
least you tried.
I never let him touch the back wall, I'll tell you that.
You ultimately did.
You want to know what's actually funny?
When I was gone, he tested.
So after I finished marching, I did one last concert group and community college group, no big deal. I actually got kicked out by the band director when he found out I was a drum corps kid. He just said, "Not in my band. I need you out now." And I'd already been in there for like 4 months on playing trombone too. So it was just like, where did this come from? I don't know what it is with
Yeah, Chris, same. Well, not that I got kicked out, but my band director tried to tell me, like, why are you going back to Impulse? Like, why are you marching there? And I remember being in his office and just being like, I mean, what do you want me to go be in the cadets and go do the thing you did? Like, he was the cadet drum major back in like when the Knights went off to war or whatever that was. I can't remember. And I just thought, that's such BS. Like, this is what I want to do. I love those people. It's about the family. It's not about I never wanted to win anything. I didn't give a S about that, family show. I just, that wasn't what it was about for me. It was about putting on a dang good show and being with the people that I love. And I still feel that way when I perform every single time I perform. I play with a group, Cape Symphony, and those people are my family. I mean, literally, like I see them. Like if I put you guys in the same room with them, I know you all get along because it just makes sense. Like they're not the kind of people that just show up and like they just want to sell lots of tickets to the show. They want to entertain people. They want to put on a really great program. And so for me, it was always about just, and this has been our mantra forever, is that we want to put on a show that everybody loves the most, so that at the end of the year, maybe we didn't win the championship, but we did win over the fans. And I think we did that every year.
Yeah. So this kind of rolls us in. So Luke, our long-standing drum major, you took 03 off from conducting to put metal between your hands, to be on the field, but came back in 04 to DM. So let's hear this whole story.
Well, yeah, I'd just been on the podium for so long, and I had graduated high school in 2001, and I had immediately gone in to start teaching like being a marching tech for different groups, and I just wanted to get back into marching because I was just like, man, I feel like I'm falling behind, and I had marched plates doing WGI, so that felt like a good fit, and there just happened to be we only had 2 cymbal players, so I was like, all right, let's do this. I'm gonna get on the field and I'm gonna take a year off the podium and enjoy the summer, because being the drum major is a lot of field lining and a lot of being up before everybody else and being all the way up until everybody else is asleep. So yeah, it's just something I wanted to do. Just so I conducted and I marched. Why not?
Because I think it ended up being you and one of my ex-students that were on plates in 03. Yeah,
Robbie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But good times all around. Obviously, we've been happy to have you around all the whole time.
All right. Last week, me and Dan and another previous staff member, Chad, went on an interview series to talk about the design of Impulse's shows. So Dan, as being one of the staff members on this Zoom call, explain the concept for this year's show or what you can remember from it.
Well, I don't know if you guys knew this, but cartoon is actually a symphonic band work that pre-existed before we ever got a hold of it. And the trick for me was, of course, to make it field friendly. And it was kind of the ultimate expression of what I was always trying to do with the corps, which was to make it funny by making it a one joke show. I've always wanted to just tell. I really didn't want to do the VK thing, to be honest with everybody, and that was really hard to do with the management we had. But I wanted to do something new, is actually present an entire package that would make sense from beginning to end on one show. And the whole concept of cartoon, I loved. If you guys have ever heard the Carl Stalling Project, he was one of the big composers in the MGM cartoons and things. There are actually some incredible cartoon composers that have gone through, not to mention, of course, the guys at Disney. And so I just kind of wanted to tap into that and make it, and the crowd obviously responded well. I had a conversation with Charlie Grow this week. And surprisingly enough, he told me this one was his favorite show that I ever did for Impulse. So
I was about to ask how much of that story could you actually tell us right now?
Well,
no.
My conversations with Charlie are definitely not something that are family friendly. So.
Kind of what we figured, but that's Charlie for you. So speaking about staff, which this feels weird because Raul, we've known each other and performed each other since '98, but you took off and you became support staff and was cooking, and then I'm guessing somebody talked you in to become a character. Let's hear it. How did this happen?
Okay. So yeah, here's the thing. I marched 5 seasons of drum corps. That is a lot of seasons. I started as a 13-year-old with West Coast Sound, and then I did 4 years with Impulse. After that, I was ready to retire my job. So I took a couple years off, actually stopped playing music entirely, and started working and going to college and taking business classes. And Aaron came up to me one day and said, hey, we need someone for food staff. And I dropped everything and took a couple weeks off to go on tour and sleep on gym floors. Because that's what you do for Impulse. Once an Impulse, your blood is black and yellow. That's it. Here's the thing about food staff that they don't tell you. You're your own bus driver. So we would serve dinner and then pack up everything, clean everything, sanitize it, because we don't want to make anyone sick. Surprise, it's true. And then we would drive all night, watch the sunrise. The Corps would go to sleep for a couple of hours after a long night of also being on a bus. And we don't get to do that. We get to crack eggs and make pancakes so that when you all wake up, you have food. It's great. I was exhausted. When the staff said, hey, we have an idea, I still said yes, because again, black and yellow blood, that's it. I'm always gonna try to do what I can, and I was still 20, so why not? I don't know if I helped or hurt, to be honest. I was the artist, so as the show progressed, I would draw Betty Boop in different moments, and I would just pop out, and they kept on telling me, make it bigger, make it bigger. So I made it bigger, and I made bigger movements, and I got bigger with my big pen, and I drew Betty Boop. And I guess in making it bigger, I also stepped aside bigger. And at one point, I guess I crossed a field line of some sort. And on finals, I got us a penalty. So anyone that marched in 03, I just want to say, once again, my bad.
So what you're saying is, if you're willing to come and help volunteer, we need cook staff all the time, period. And that said, you heard him. We all bleed black and yellow now. Come back and help us.
The thing I liked about having Aaron and Raul on the food staff was they didn't stir the punch with their arm.
No, I can't. Look at all this hair. Like,
have you never bought? We can't. No, this is another time discussion.
Tomorrow.
We're thankful for that.
Yeah.
By the way, thank you
to all the cook staff, to all the people who have volunteered over the years. Let's just take a quick moment to say thank you, because Impulse does not get on the road without the parents, the volunteers, and more importantly, the people who are coming back to help. It really is what keeps us going.
And the PB&J.
Where would be without PB&J?
Can I just thank everyone that let me cut in line all the time so I didn't have to wait in the food line?
Hey, well,
wow.
Ever waited in line, ever.
Hey, for the record, I always ate last.
Appreciate it.
I always ate last because I painted the field at every that we got there.
My apologies. The best. It was the best.
I've had the pleasure over the past couple of years of being on tour to talking to other food staffs, and that same like self-sacrifice, keep going thing is prevalent in every single course. So like Chris just said, if you're watching this and you volunteered anywhere, the course don't get on the road without volunteers. It's absolutely crazy. And I can say that 2004 tour with me and Raul, we both were driving a Jeep Grand Cherokee and a trailer, and it was absolutely insane. But it was also some really great memories.
So much fun.
You're Sonic.
Yeah, that's another story. I'm not going to talk about that. If you want to know about a story about two dumb young people trying to drive through a drive-through with a trailer, tune in tomorrow on our after-hours party. All right. The next question is actually going to go to Ray, Luke, Sean, and Dan. In that order. So we'll start with Ray. Given the success of 2003, did you feel pressure in 2004 to either be better or do something crazier? So once again, we're going to go Ray, Luke, Dan, Sean, and then Dan.
I don't think that there was more pressure. I think that we felt a sense of responsibility though, to just be Impulse, to just be us. That was something that in my opinion, was pretty big in our core, was owning our identity as a drum corps and remembering that year after year as the shows change, Impulse still had a personality that was unique. That's what made us who we were. And we all felt that sense of responsibility to keep that up. And so it was exciting going from year to year and seeing how the core was growing. And I never felt the pressure. I guess if there was any pressure, it was just internal to be, we all felt it, to try to be the hardest workers out there, and just know that in a Div 2 core, we used to, call it the snake pit. That's where the fire was. So it was anybody's game at that point, and we were just always working towards the common goal of getting there to the finish line together. And I think that helped us all get along and go through some of the hardships you could get to on tour. But it was a good time. We all had fun, and that was the biggest part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I can feel that. I think at the end of the season in Denver, when we were doing run throughs, that's when it really kicked in for me that this group was like, it was the everybody from 03 had come back was really so fired up, and it helped bring in new people, and it started just creating this shockwave around the drum corps scene. And I think that's what that built into 05 and 06. It was kind of a crucial time, really. If we'd just gotten lazy in 04, then 05, 06 just may not have had the same edge that it would have, as far as bringing more people into the hype. But it was just a really cool family. And the wax duck always sticks out in my mind.
I know for me, having gone through the 03 season, we had to spend so much of even into the season, recruiting members for the front ensemble to really try to fill it out by the time we finally got on tour. And then the percussion instructors at the time, Ike Jackson and Caleb Rothie, were my high school instructors. So between the three of us, we did a lot of recruiting to get the front ensemble to be just bigger to begin with for the 04 season. So I think the pressure that I felt was much more I brought these people, I helped bring these people here. We need to make sure, I need to make sure this is, that everything comes across that I told them would come across. Because I think I was one of the first, at least in my high school, that had gone and done drum corps and then come back. So, spending an entire year telling everybody how great it was and all the experiences that I had, I felt pressure to make sure that they had that same time. But it was pretty easy to do that at Impulse. There's still a lot of, I went and marched 3 more years of drum corps in Div 1 or world class or whatever it was. And I still think back, and I think I have more memories of my time at Impulse than I do in world class. But yeah, I think the pressure was much more internal, like Ray was saying. It did come from inside more than outside.
And Dan, being a multi-year arranger and brass caption, did you feel any pressure by the time we hit 04 to do something with the show?
As you know, it was really different for the staff. While all of the management and a good majority of the instructors were in front of you telling you just have fun, be the coolest guy in the room, don't worry about scores, that's not what happened with us. The pressure was always on. And it was uncomfortably so. Because it would felt like real duality between us smiling and going, let's go have fun. And then we'd get on the phone with certain people and who were really score addicts. Those guys were real score hounds. They'd be checking Drum Corps Planet every day and calling me while I was on the bus. And that part of it just wasn't any fun. So the pressure was always on there. This year, actually, because I was actually working off of a real score and a real symphonic piece, and as an arranger, it was an easier year. In all the previous years, I was doing what was called needle drops. They would just hand me a recording, and I had to pull everything off of it, chord progressions. So this is the first time I had the luxury of actually having an arrangement to base things off of. So that's my answer.
That's awesome. And we take a quick moment here to make sure we say hi to Mark and Ron's future Impulse members there. They're poking their heads in.
Yeah, there
Um,
is.
it's always cool to see everyone how everyone's growing up and has full families going on. It's way cool to see. But back to the show itself. So Kyle.
Can I jump in on that?
Oh
real
yeah,
quick?
Mark, go for it, please.
Especially mentioning the wax duck. Coming coming from another core, and then coming in, I felt a little pressure, just to kind of fit in and kind of join in something that, to join another family basically. And I never felt that pressure, I guess, really. I always felt welcome. There was always a little bit of awkwardness because I was obviously the new guy in a lot of situations, but I always felt welcome. I always thought that was really cool of you guys, especially the vets that have been there, long term, as well as those that, that were second years and third years. And I really felt that, and especially as we got towards Denver, the hype that built towards that and the solidarity that we all had together, I thought that was really good. And so I just, mentioning that, I was visualizing the hills that we were working on there in Denver, and it was just remembering how strong we were then.
Quick show of hands. How many of you have ever gone on Google Maps and tried to find one of your old rehearsal sites? I've totally done that.
Yeah,
Especially the haunted school in New Mexico.
Yeah.
As a note on that, my first year as the corps director in 2018, when we were on tour, I intentionally tried to find the park that we stayed at, Green River. It ended up being too far off bus driver hours to get to, but I still have a very firm goal of staying in Green River and making it
Actually, weird thing, and
Let's buy that town.
3 years ago, I ran the Denver Marathon, and part of the course went by the housing site we stayed at in Denver. So it's like, I'm like, I know that place.
Oh, well, I love that we're getting reminiscent, but I think we need to kind of get ourselves back on topic. We're starting to run a little late here, but so Kyle, I got some questions for you. I hear that your leg gets erased in the show. What's the story about that?
I honestly, I feel like I forgot almost everything that happened in '04 because of '05, and you guys will all see next week when we talk about '05. But and because, like, sandwiched between '01 and '05 were my bookends, so it's really hard for me to remember what happened in the middle. But I was just thinking about this actually, and I don't even know where this came from, but I remember that Amber had of course, Dan was like, let's make it harder. It's just like Aaron was talking about, where he had to do a front flip and turn a page of a book in his show. I had to stand on one leg and play a solo because, it wasn't hard enough.
It just made sense. The color guard had pencils in their hands.
And I don't know, did it actually end up in the final show? I have I have not seen '04 since '04 happened. So
wait like 10 minutes.
I can't wait. So I didn't remember if we actually did it or not, or if we pulled it off. I know I did like a Monty Python kind of thing with it, like, oh my God, where's my leg? But I remember one rehearsal, maybe I didn't stretch very well or something, and I pulled some kind of tendon or nerve or whatever, and I actually ended up like falling on the ground, like kind of shaking, like and everyone's just like, oh, Kyle, just like, that's not funny, like, what are you doing? It's like, no, actually I am dying. I'm actually dying right now. I think Amber was just trying to erase me out of existence in that moment with her pencil. So so I hope that we pulled it off. I have no idea. I don't even know if the camera caught it or whatnot. They're probably looking at like some random tenor player who's not doing anything like in many of the other videos during the important parts. But I remember that, and I also remember in that particular solo, that we were talking about this beforehand, before we started, that my valve, the plastic guide or neoprene guide or whatever, they didn't have metal guides then, broke, and my valve flipped around right around the solo. Actually, it was fine like before then. I think I had noticed there was something weird going on, like maybe a couple licks before then. And I started playing, and I usually start with like a half valve gliss, and so that would be normal. But it did not go the way I thought, and so I don't know what happened, but my brain thought, like, what would Chris Roundtree do? And I went ahead and started singing my solo full out a cappella as loud as I could. And hopefully Chris has he says
yeah.
that he's found the judge tapes, but I remember listening to one of the only judge tapes I ever listened to, and it was that particular one where the judge is like, oh, and now he's singing. Oh, good move. Yeah. Because he knew something was up. Guy obviously was a brass player, and could tell that there was something going on with the horn. So like I just started singing my trumpet part, and I felt like I almost thought that after that show that maybe I might have to sing it every dang show, but fortunately that didn't happen.
That moment when the rest of the corps gets quiet and we just heard singing, we were just like, what is going on? It was so hilarious at the time.
The judge put it on her tape too, if I remember correctly. It's
Well,
like, oh, perfect. I love your voice.
So I had mentioned before this call that me and Chris and a couple other Impulse for alumni had gone down to our storage trucks, and we actually found a bunch of judges' tapes that we're going to try and digitize and maybe get on a Google Drive for our alumni to hear. And I'm sure there's a lot of golden moments like that. But last question before we show the show is going to go towards Luke, since we're going to see this in the beginning. What was the idea behind you breaking the baton before you conducted?
Oh man, I saw this in the lineup of the questions, and I was like, whose idea was this? And I forget if it was Ike or if it was. Oh man, I'm totally drawing a blank. But I know like we made like a full on baton, and there was just like, okay, you're gonna break this before the show. I was like, okay. Um, it was supposed to be a take on like Phantom, and apparently it did upset somebody at one of the, I think it like prelims or something like that. And I actually got some threats in the when I was walking around, after the show in uniform. I got some, somebody like, hey, you should have broke that. Just like, whoa, buddy, it's okay, it's just a show. But this VK's done worse, right? So yeah, it was just supposed to be a spoof on everybody else that does the baton gag.
Yeah, there are many memories over the past 20 years of Impulse doing something and either intentionally or unintentionally ruffling some feathers of some sort.
Yeah.
Whether they be plume feathers or core jacket feathers, we don't know. But for everyone that's tuning in, this is the Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps 2004 cartoon show watch party with a fantastic panel. We've been reminiscing about different memories and times and sharing about those things. We're actually going to show the show right now. And then afterwards, we've got some more comments. We are constantly doing things to try and help this fantastic Southern California-based drum and bugle corps stay alive. If you have the ability, please go to our website at www.impulseyoutarts.org and make a donation on our financial page. And also, we have started an educational institution called the Impulse Institute. It's sort of like if you took community college and made it truly random, a truly impulsive educational experience. If you want more information about that, you can also check that out on our website. So without further ado, this is the Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps 2004 show, Cartoon.
Presenting a production of Cartoon, Drum Corps International is proud to present from Buena Park, California, Impulse. Are the judges ready? Drum majors Luke Armstrong, Julio Secaria, and Jennifer Klein. Is your corps ready? Impulse, you may take the field in competition. from Buena Park, California, Impulse.
I don't remember any of that. Not one bit. Not one bit.
Oh man, doing all these has been so much fun because every single year, Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps has been incorporated in Buena Park since its inception and has not moved in 21 years. But every year it's announced from a different city. This year it said Buena Park. I think last year was Costa Mesa. It's been all over the place. I've never understood that one. Anywho.
That's a running joke.
A few times we had different people announced as director too.
Yes.
I think Larry Ford got announced as a director once. And
my favorite announcement of where we were from was in 2001 during the Huntington Beach Parade. They announced us as being from Hawaii. I still do to this day. I mean, we weren't I think we might have been marching with the Tiki Mass, but anyways, that aside, this next question is gonna, now that we've seen this and reminisced, and if you're tuning in, this is the 2004 Impulse Watch Party. Amber, how did it feel joining in and then being not just a member of the color guard, but being a featured dancer as a rookie?
I loved it. Even before color guard, I was a dancer. I accidentally joined color guard and then accidentally joined drum corps. So being able to mostly dance was amazing. I loved it. It was fun for me. And it was different because it wasn't like I was in a dance concert. It was a different kind of art. So it was pretty cool to be a part of it.
We've talked a lot about this because I've always been of the impression that Impulse just never got the respect it deserved based off of the musicianship that we had over the years. And after watching that show, you can definitely tell that we had there's some still serious talent rocking on there. Kyle, hell of a solo in that. I mean, I last saw you in 02, so this is the first time I've heard you play since. And man, talk about a growth arc.
You didn't have to sing.
Wow, yeah, it was like since 15 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, we're old.
I do not remember hopping on one leg to my spot, and I definitely laughed at my own joke there. Yeah.
So
here's no idea.
So here's a question for you and Raph. Raphael, you obviously took over. You're now in charge of the tuba line, and Kyle, you obviously were killing it there. Over the years, we've had a lot of members go to I&E at finals, and I looked it up. You both performed in I&E. Do you guys remember any bit about it? Do you remember how well you guys might have done or not have done?
I think I remember the song I performed. How I did in place overall, I don't remember.
It's amazing that the internet never forgets. So, Raph, you were the highest ranked Div 2, Div 3 contra/tuba player that year. Kyle, how do you think you fared? Do you remember any bit about your I&E that year?
I'm pretty sure I was uncontested.
I think you were also in that 8th to 10th place, but again, highest scoring Div 2, Div 3. We've had some, there's a whole bunch of conspiracy theories that, you're not wearing the right color uniform, and that detracted some scores, and I'm sure that'll be talked about tomorrow in other cases. But I was astounded by your solo in that, and what growth both you and Raph had from the time that I was with you guys, and obviously to DC Eiley saying you guys are the best Div 2, Div 3 performers on your solo instruments that year.
Go Beach.
Yeah.
But so let's talk more about Denver in general here, because that's where finals was this year. So Hillary and Raul, did the altitude of Denver get to you guys much? And I mean, Raul, you marched there with me in 2000. Do you remember there being any concerns about altitude?
You know what? I think we talked about it a lot, but honestly, I don't think I've ever been in such great shape. So really, I was fine. And this is true for all finals. I mean, you're running on such a high and such an adrenaline rush that it's hard to worry about those things once you get to the show. You're just trying to put on the best show you can as well as you can. And by the end of the show, you're done working. So it's a celebration. It's a culmination, and there's so many emotions happening there that breathing wasn't one of them.
Yeah, who needs air? What was your thoughts there, Hillary? Do you remember anything about the altitude? Did it get to you any bit?
Yeah, I remember they were talking about it a lot and saying like it's going to be different, get ready for it. And I think when we first got to our school in Denver, they made us do a run to like just feel how it was to breathe. And I remember it being like a little bit different than normal, but I've always been a pretty good runner, so I think it was not really bothering me that much. And the same thing, I think I was just excited to perform. And I don't even remember it being a thing like during the show. So I didn't even notice it.
Adrenaline instead of oxygen.
I remember we in the run blocks we used to do breathing exercises while running, which I can't even do now. But those were fantastic, and I know they killed people a lot because you breathe in for 4, out for 8, in for 4, out for 12, or something like that while you're running. And I'm sure that when we did Denver, that we like shortened it to like in for 4, out for 6, in for 4, out for 4, in for out for 2, just just so that we could survive, because at that point it was a little bit harder. But man, I mean, everybody was seriously in shape by that point because we had been doing those exercises. I remember 04 and 05, we were very serious about the breathing exercises and run blocks. And in the beginning of each year that we did them, there were people who I think wanted to murder me for running those blocks because I was a little sadistic about it. But I know that by the time we got to Denver, that it was easier because of that. I hope.
Well, welcome back in, Mark. I know you had some technical difficulties, but we're on to you on a question anyway, so perfect timing. We're asking if do you remember the altitude in Denver and how much did it really affect you?
Yeah, I remember talking about it, and I don't ever really remember it affecting me a whole lot. Of course, I was playing cymbals, I was playing plates, so I'm sure if I had been a horn player, it might have been a little bit different. But I remember us, doing some running things at the beginning. We didn't do breathing block because, drummers don't believe in throwing up. But we did do some runs and some stuff like that.
Yeah, for those of you that are tuning in or have been watching any of the other watch parties that other drum corps have had, there was a long time that championships moved from place to place. So every tour was a different experience because of how you had to get to championships. So over these years, Impulse went to championships in 01. That was in New York. 02
Buffalo.
was, yeah, Buffalo.
Yeah.
02 was in Wisconsin.
Yeah, Madison. Yeah.
03 was in Florida. 04 was in Denver. Next year's in a different location. It kept changing until DCI finalized a contract with Lucas Oil Stadiums in Indianapolis, and that's where it's been for a while. But it was definitely a different time because every tour was extremely unique because of the path we had to take to get there. That aside, moving on, the next question is for Sean and then Ron. Do you feel Impulse prepared you for moving to a Div 1 core the next year, which is now known as World Class?
I absolutely think it did. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that it prepared me for was just like to the strength, like the mental strength that I needed to be able to get through like a world-class tour or a Div 1 tour. Impulse was my first experience with drum corps, besides, just high school band. And so learning that was huge. And then I also had an opportunity to be a section leader in 2004. And that just made me a better member, regardless of whether I had a title later. Like that made me appreciate a lot more like how to participate and how to be a good member. Yeah.
I think that for me, it definitely prepared you because you were able to hear and listen what I was going to be eventually part of. It also gave you more context and history and background. I think that I don't know if I would have been a better member in the ensemble that I joined after Impulse, if I had not done Impulse, just because it was not in my mentality. You know, you have a different mentality when you start something at a younger age. I mean, I started marching drum corps when I was 15, and so you grow even between 15 and 17 or 18 or whatever. That's such a big change in your psyche. So I think that being able to experience that, I mean, this is, I'm not sure how people feel like this today, but I mean, when you're marching 15 years old and you are in the same ensemble as a full grown adult, 21 years old, you have to grow up a little bit differently. And so I think it definitely prepared me on how to handle certain situations at an ensemble that had more shows, more rehearsal time, much more intense rehearsal times. So it was just different, but I definitely think that it definitely helped me prepare for that, for sure.
So next question is for Ray here. We've had a number of people who've come on who ended up doing drum corps and moving on to do a military career. First off, most of us will probably agree, thank you for your service. Thank you for all that you do. Do you feel that your time in Impulse and time in drum corps prepared you for the military?
I would definitely say so. I know at first glance you would say Impulse is probably like the opposite of the military, you know, as free flowing as it can be. But to be honest, learning, like, all the fundamentals are the same. And that was something that you know, as I was growing up in the Marine Corps, I realized I was pretty well prepared. For example, like standing for something bigger than yourself. Everybody on the field in Impulse, we all cared about the family that we belong to more than ourselves. So we would put in the hard work, the after hours, practice sessions, instead of listening to scores, going back and doing sectionals, things like that. Like, we cared about our group, about our family more than our own comfort sometimes. But that led to a lot of fun on the back end. And so that was something that, you know, we care about in the military for sure, is, you know, standing for something bigger than ourselves, putting the group before ourselves. So on that aspect, of course, I did learn that at Impulse. Knowing your gig, knowing your job, every single person has to be individually strong and know what their role is and how they fit into the machine. That's, you know, very important in the military as well. The stakes are obviously higher in the military. The risk is higher, but the fundamentals of not cutting corners, that's something that I've taken with me from drum corps. Don't cut corners, learn it right the first time, and don't build bad habits. I've seen how that could save lives for sure. If you want to take it to the extreme, I guess. And something that I learned, to give a shout out to Dan, of course, and he actually spoke about it, was the leadership aspect. So we all kind of agreed that we never felt the pressure to be good, but the staff definitely had a lot of pressure on their shoulders. And for me as a commander now, that's something that when times get rough for me, I have to understand that, you know, you never complain down, you always complain up, or you complain amongst your peers. But you got people counting on you, people looking up to you. And even in those dark times, there's some dark times on tour. You're feeling lonely, you're missing family and things like that. But you always, you know, you go to your fellow section leaders, or you go to, you know, whoever, your peers, and you talk it out, and there's somebody there for you. But you never complain down. A leader's got to be that beacon of light. And the staff often at Impulse was that for us. So, you know, thanks for you guys doing that, of course, Dan and the rest of the group. But yeah, I mean, I felt well prepared. I loved my time at Impulse. It made it a lot easier for me. I was already feeling apprehensive about not aging out. So transitioning to the Marine Corps and the dynamics of our country at that time were a lot different. So I felt it was something I had to do. But I felt at home when I showed up because of everything I learned at Impulse. So it was a good time. And I still teach people things that I learned at Impulse and in drum corps as I go along in the Marines. So yeah, that's my long answer.
That was so well spoken. Thank you.
I got to tell you guys, one of my favorite memories when I was at Canyon High School was when we had a Marine Corps recruiter come by to talk to the band. It was Ray.
Yep.
Oh.
That was great.
Very
Ray,
cool.
did you ever meet Matt, who we called fondly Sasquatch the next year. He joined the Marines right after you did. Did you ever meet him?
I think maybe probably on social media. I don't know if we ever met in person.
I hope we
Make
can
that
get
happen.
him on for next year, for next weekend. We need to get him.
I'm on it.
Actually, as a recruiter, just a quick story. I was working at Beckman High School, and one of the staff members there, as soon as I showed up, I talked to the first person there, and I saw a picture of an Impulse baritone player, I believe, in the background. And I was like, wait a minute, who's that? She was like, oh, that's my son, Matt Oberlin, I think. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. What a small world. And so it's funny how Impulse is just secretly out there, just they're amongst the people living as normal humans, but they're there.
I'm say we're living as normal humans. I
No.
don't know. No, don't know
Some.
about that one.
Hiding
Some of
in
us.
plain sight.
Mutants.
Oh,
Oh
sounds
my
like
God.
needs to be brought together at least for the after hours party for this one or the one we'll do later on.
Yeah. Our last question before we unfortunately have to end this fun time is to Raphael. What's the story? There's been pictures we've been uploading lately, and we're going to continue to share memories. What's the story behind the picture on this broadcast of Impulse with Blue Stars and Jersey Surf?
Well, what happened, that was during finals week, and if I'm not mistaken, and like Luke or Kyle can remember this, but it was either semifinals or just like the age of ceremony, but a storm came in or something, so we had to wait inside a gym for like a long time because apparently it was going to rain. So one of the bass drummers, myself, we started playing a game where we just get in a circle, everybody has like a number, and we kind of knows what I'm talking about. And we just go, you say your number, you pass it on to the next person, you say the number, and that person has to say the thing in time, in rhythm, and it keeps going around until somebody messes up, then they're out.
Big booty, big booty, big booty. Yeah, big booty.
Blue Stars and Jersey Surf size and like, can we join? Yeah, go ahead. So we like a lot of people started joining, but at a certain point we had about like 65 people, like from 3 different courses. We started gym. We were just playing, having fun, and like we didn't know how long we were in there, but we were playing. Then we're like, all right, we're gonna go out to the ceremony. So we got lined up. We stopped playing. We go, and then it stops again. Like, wait, we gotta wait because of this. And we're like, oh. And there was all of a sudden some guy from Jersey like, hey, let's take a picture. So we all just got in a group and took a picture. And I think that was just like the whole bond. Like all 3 chords just made that moment. It was just fun. For me, for that year, that was one of my best memories. One thing that I won't ever forget, aside from Amber almost keeping my face off every single show. But yeah, that was one of the best memories. Just ending the year that way with a big old thing from Blue Stars and Jersey Surf. Just the fun that we had. And I don't know if Kyle or Luke want to chime in because I don't know if you guys were part of that or not.
I never hit you, by the way.
You came inches away from
No, I didn't.
Because she's a pro.
I was always watching, okay?
Yeah. I just remember that we had the biggest big booty of all time.
Yes.
Because it was like big booty number 60, number 60, number 49, number 49, number 40, 17. Like, it was just impossible to play that game, but it was so much fun. And it was something that I remember we played in 01 and 02, and maybe, I don't know if it was in 03 at all, but it was just so much fun. And the chorus that joined us were just totally not expecting this to happen, but we started it, and they all jumped in, and we just started becoming really, really friendly for maybe the first time ever with other chores, because we've always been a little bit adverse to other cores. But this particular year, we were having a good time. And I know that poured into the next year there in 05 when we were hanging out with Oregon Crusaders or something like that. We ended up becoming really good friends with them. And there's a really great photo of me and Josh and a few other people hanging out with them. It's just, that kind of camaraderie was just really, really amazing. It's like for people to just kind of set it all aside and just say like, we're all part of this family, this crazy family that we decided to be a part of for the summer. And then to look at it and say, well, you know what, it's not just our own family in our core, but it's all of drum corps. We're all sort of a family. And I thought that was really beautiful, and it was probably one of the few times we got to witness that, except for there were a couple times in the parking lots where some fun activities happen with drum lines and soprano players, etc. Good competition, but that one was really, really well natured, especially between Div 2 corps, which I think we were often facing ourselves off against Div 1 corps in the off the field competition.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that we've been reminiscing year by year, is that Impulse unintentionally does something that causes something else. It seems to be part of our history, whether it be Impulse unintentionally lines up at the back of the field and applauds all the corps leaving, or Impulse unintentionally storms into parade routes and high fives people and eats hot dogs, or Impulse unintentionally spills popcorn on other members, or actually one of our brass member teachers for this year, before COVID happened, named Eric, was in Troopers the year that we marched side by side on a bridge with them, and some of their members and our members swapped pieces of our uniforms, and he has a memory of them getting reamed for that, unintentionally causing some problems. It's sort of like an one of those side rules of Impulse.
That I remember.
Yeah. So,
or yelling commands in Japanese at retreat. Yes.
Yosuke doing all commands in Japanese. There's another time he did all the commands as if he was the Troopers drum major who had a very thick Wyoming accent. There was quite a few shenanigans from those early years. Thank you all very much, Raphael, Chris, Hillary, Raul, Dan, Ray, Luke, Kyle, Amber, Ron, Sean, and Mark for joining us. For everyone else that tuned in, this was the Impulse 2004 watch, the cartoon show. These are going to be edited and then uploaded to YouTube in a cleaner version later so that everything's evened out. Make sure to keep your eye on that. If you have the ability, please help keep us afloat by donating on our website at www.impulseyoutharts.org. We've also launched an institute that helps anyone learn anything that we can teach on a month-by-month basis. If that sounds interesting or intriguing to you, you can find out more information on our website. We do these watch parties every Saturday, going year by year over our 20-year history. They have been a blast. Next Saturday at 6 o'clock, we are doing the year 2005.
Wait, stop, Aaron. I'm sorry.
You're right. It's
next
the week after.
We will not, because it's the 4th of July. 4th of July, we will not. 05 will be in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So enjoy the 4th of July.
You're right. In 2 weeks, we will be live streaming 2005. Too bad 4th of July parade isn't happening, but all of you can practice your Impulse shenanigans parading around your house or bombarding your neighbors, maybe. But nonetheless, enjoy your next week. If you want to know any more information or I can help donate to keep us afloat, please go to our website. And other than that, thank you all very much. This has always been a blast.
Let's also not forget that on the Impulse Facebook page, you can find the Eventbrite link for tomorrow's after-hour party. We've said it's 99 to 03, but let's face it, when you're in family, you're in the family. Come join out and hear the stories that won't be put onto Facebook.
Yes, share the stories that are probably borderline inappropriate. Share those memories you've been waiting to share. Especially those of you that haven't been on the panels, if you've been wanting to jump in and share your own memories, that Eventbrite's going to be a lot of fun, and you don't have to have the fear of having your face broadcast.
Tuba Steve.
Yeah. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. Please check that out on Facebook. But thank you all very much. I hope to see you all again soon.